Hey team, Keith here, and as promised, I just want to show you a quick slideshow on how to start your very first business. This is geared for people that have zero clue on how to start a business, but they have a passion for something, and they want to turn that passion into income. Before we get started, the best advice I can give you is to keep your day job and use this as a side hustle until you can make enough income to quit your primary job. It's not something that I would just jump straight head over heels into. Make sure you have a plan first, right? So, how to start your first business, a beginner's guide for Vetrepreneurs. Okay, so we're going to talk about setting up your structure, which is sole proprietor, LLC, or a corporation, establishing your DBA, which is just doing business as. And this is primarily for sole proprietors, but you can also get one as an LLC, but we won't dive too deep into that. Okay, so how do you pay your taxes? You got your municipals, which is city, then your state, and then federal. Then we're going to jump down into how to market and advertise your business, right? So that is really my niche. I have a lot of experience in marketing and advertising and audio and video production, and there are things that I have done over the years that have worked exponentially well. And the things that I want to talk about are free to set up, right? We'll get a little bit into Facebook advertising that is not free, but how to set up your Facebook page and your Google My Business profile definitely are. And then, lastly is who should you contact for help? So I have some resources at the end of the slide, and I'm also going to leave every single link from these resources in the description box below, so that way you can click that and go straight to their site and find these resources in your local area. So don't take this as me being like a total expert, because I'm not. I have had 2 businesses in the past and they've done well. And I've learned a lot along the way, but I am in no shape, way, or form an expert or a licensed business coach, if you will. So do your research, please. Okay, so setting up your structure. So the first thing is a sole proprietor, right? And you can read the definition, but I think of a sole proprietor as it's completely you. You as a person are completely liable for your business. So let's say that something messes up in your business and somebody comes back to sue you. They can actually take your house as a sole proprietor. So it's important to remember that. Now, I will also say that sole proprietors are the easiest structure to set up. It's so much easier than you could possibly think. And the chances of somebody coming back and suing you and taking your house are very, 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 very minute, unless you are just doing bad business, right? And, if that's the case, then whether it is a sole proprietor, an LLC, or a corporation, you're not going to be successful. So at the end of the day, your business has to serve a purpose, right? And people have to be willing to pay for what you are offering. And that is just utmost bare basics of what you need to think about when starting a business. Once you have that figured out, what your sales are going to be, whether it's a product or a service, you got to figure out how to develop relationships and nurture your clientele. These days, especially, people don't just look in the yellow ads in a phone book and say, hey, this is where I want to go. Now you have this huge online presence, and your trust factor, if you will, on that online presence, whether it be Google, Facebook, Bing, it doesn't matter. People are looking at your business and seeing how good your reviews are. They're looking at what other people are saying about your business, etc., so on and so forth, especially in the service industry, right? So going down, LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. Now, this is when it starts getting a little bit more difficult. You got to actually set it up a certain way through the state, your business structure, right? This is really whenever you should be talking to a professional that I will list down below. Tons of resources down there. But in a nutshell, limited liability company means that in its most basic form, that you could be sued still, but they can't take your house. They're going to take the assets from your limited liability company, right? And whether it is a sole proprietor, limited liability, or a corporation, you're always going to be paying for insurance. So this insurance is your buffer, and then you need to figure out what kind of insurance you need. And you do that by having a conversation with an insurance company that's local to you. That's how I started it. And then I just said, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I got some questions, right? And the person actually hooked me up pretty well. And it turned out the insurance that I needed was only like $550 a year, which was super cheap, right? And it covers you up to like almost $1 million. So that's limited liability company, right? It's a business structure in the United States that protects its owners from personal responsibility for its debts or liability, aka if you get sued, they can't take your house. Corporation, this is the most complicated one. So think of a corporation as you have a CEO, and the CEO is reporting to a board of directors, right? Now, when oftentimes we think about we think about corporations, we think about these like huge companies like Amazon and Netflix, and maybe there's a local company that's really big where you're from. But a corporation could be as simple as a few people. And it all depends on how you want to set your business up and how you want to pay your taxes. Now, I will say, as far as taxes go with corporations, you can actually have tax benefits here. Going back up to sole proprietor, and we'll talk about this further, is that there is a thing called self-employment tax, and it is 15.3%. And you have to pay that at the end of the year off of what you sold. Same for limited liability company, but that can also be tweaked as well as far as taxes go. And then corporation, there's S Corp, C Corp, and different types of corporations that I'm not going to get into because I don't want to confuse you. Just know to go to one of the links at the end of this video in the description box below and start that conversation, because the most important thing you can do right now is don't let this stuff scare you. Just go have a conversation and get it done. Okay, so establishing your DBA, you might be asking, I've never heard of that, right? So if you're a sole proprietor, some states require you to have a DBA, and it just stands for doing business as. Example, Mary wants to start a floral shop, but wants to name it Roses and More. She would have to register that name. In South Dakota, it's through the Secretary of State website. I cannot confirm if that is where you go for the states where you are at if you are watching. So for the 10th time now, refer to the links below. Just know that if you want your business to have a fictitious name, right, it'll have to be registered depending on your state, but have that conversation. Okay, so let's talk about taxes. You got your municipal taxes. That's your city tax. I had no idea what those were called before I started a business. And then you got your state tax. In South Dakota, it is 4.5%. Federal tax is not a tax that you do every single sale. And I think it's important to remember that. They tax it at the end of the year as a sole proprietor whenever you do your normal income taxes, and it's at 15.3%. Taxes, no kidding, are one of the most important reasons why you need to talk to a business professional. A free one, that's what these resources are down below. They're free. And they will tell you based off of what you say and what you're wanting to do with your business structure on how to register your tax ID, through your state, because you got to pay it monthly or quarterly. But also just what kind of structure you need so you're not paying too many taxes, Let's go back to municipal taxes here. So every city that you go to is going to have a different tax rate. I'm just going to speak from what I know, and that's South Dakota, and we've got Rapid City in South Dakota, and then we got Keystone, we got Sturgis, Deadwood, and each one of those cities is going to have a different tax rate. One of the businesses I have is a handyman business, and let's say that I provide a service in Deadwood, and that tax rate is 2% in Deadwood. So I automatically know that I have to charge 4.5%, which is my state tax, and that extra 2%, which is the municipal tax, on top of the price that I charge the consumer. And I think one of the most important things for you to remember here is that you aren't getting into business by volunteering your help, right? You want to make money and you want to provide a good service to people. So you have to figure out what is your rate. So once you figure out what your rate is, what you want to be paid, then you're going to factor those taxes in on top of that. And you're not paying the taxes. The consumer is paying the taxes for you. And then you keep your rate. Okay, so advertising and marketing, this is definitely my niche. I've got a lot of experience here. So Google My Business is amazing. So we are going to actually jump over to a Google business profile. And I kind of want to show you what this is. So when you're in Google, you'll have, you sign in and all that, and you can see your account, search, maps, blah, blah, blah on a desktop. But you got this little profile right here, and you're going to click on that. And then you can actually go home, posts, info, insights, reviews, calls, blah, 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 blah. But I want to show you insights. These are all free, and they are all local searches. So as long as you keep on top of this and you are taking really good video and photo content, you're explaining what your products and services are, like to a T, based on what people are actually looking for, you're going to be way ahead of the pack because not very many people do this the right way. So let's check this out. In one quarter, this is a company that I do marketing for. They had, and it's wintertime, so it's slow. This is normally like 10 or 12,000. But you can see blue, green, and yellow. So direct is green. That means 40.5% know who this company is, and they searched for them on Google. Discovery, 57.4%, means they were just looking for a company that provides the services that this roofing company offers, right? And that is where the money is, because if you can get people over to your website or to get you or to call you, then you can start building that trust and close the sale. Let's go down to stats. So total views, even in the wintertime for a roofing company here is 3.9 thousand, and you got 1.3 thousand on search, which is a Google search, which is what almost everybody does these days, especially if you are 30 and under and even older now have kind of already picked that up. You're like, okay, Google, what is the closest XYZ near me? Or you'll say, okay, Google, what's the best place that does this near me? And Google's algorithm is going to pop up these businesses. And if your business is on the first three results, you are going to get mega free traffic. And that's where it's at, right? And then in Google My Business, you can also go to customer actions, and you can see that 79 visited the website, 9 requested direction, they got 9 phone calls, and then 1 message. Through my experience, this is what you want. You want that phone call. And I say that because you need to have a conversation with your clients, right? This conversation is so crucial, right? Because as soon as they call you, you now have the opportunity to create and establish a relationship. So business is not all about making money. If you think of it like that, sure, you'll be successful. But if you think of your business as a service or a product that is genuinely helping people and doing something positive in your community, it's serving a greater purpose. So you might say, I have this business because it's what I want to do, it's what I've always wanted to do, and I want to make money off of it. Okay, cool. But what's the why, right? You have to answer that. What's your why? And you got to dial in and figure out how you can provide a product or service that's not only better than the competition, but how you can cater to your client base so that way they keep coming back. And then on top of that, what are you doing to exist in the community? Are you just there to provide a service or a product and make money and then go home? Or are you trying to do something better, bigger, more innovative in your community that maybe helps local vets, that maybe volunteers time at a homeless shelter, that gets involved in the Chamber of Commerce, that develops other people, right? So figure out what your why is. And when you're doing all this stuff, it's free advertising. And because word of mouth in business is huge. Referrals are huge. So everything that I'm teaching you here on Google is basically people that have no idea who you are. But once they know who you are and you've developed that relationship, that one person turns into multiple referrals back to your business. And that is so incredibly important. If you figure that out, you are set. So let's go back to the slide deck, right? So that's Google My Business. You just create a Gmail account, and once you have your Gmail account created, you're automatically going to have that Google My Business icon like I was showing you up here. So then all you would do is just create your business, and they mail you a postcard to get your business authenticated, etc. So it's really simple. So let's talk about a Facebook page. So a Facebook page at the end of the day is a way to announce information. It's not collaborative like a Facebook group at all, in my opinion. It's a way to announce what you're up to, what you're trying to get after, etc. And the reason why a Facebook page is so incredibly valuable is because you can put pennies to the dollar on this Facebook page and advertise it through Facebook advertising down here, and then create funnels on top of that. So if you've got your business structure figured out, you know your taxes, and you're already taking care of clients, and you're figuring out why you exist, and it's time to start growing your business, I would highly recommend Facebook advertising. Link up with a local person that is very good with audio and video and photography and graphic design, preferably somebody that has their own home studio. Because if you go with a marketing or advertising agency, they're going to give you very generic things. They might come out to your business and then get local content per se, but find someone that's super motivated and innovative with their own professional audio video studio. You're going to make your money back times 50 if you do that, because they're going to be able to focus solely on you and create content that you can create, or create content that you can put on your Facebook page that's going to go as advertising, which is going to be connected to a funnel, right? And what I mean by funnel is that when you send out an advertisement, let's say you put $100 on a Facebook page post, and you want to boost that. That's called boosting a post. You can dial that down by demographics on who you're trying to get after. So income, age, their interests, their hobbies, and let's say that you own a hunting something, right? And you're selling knives. Well, when you have a post on Facebook and you're boosting that, you're going to want to find people that like to hunt, right? You're not going to send it over to people that don't like to hunt, because no one's going to click on your ad. In its most basic form, that's what a funnel is, right? And then as they fill out this funnel, it's just a form, and it gives you them their email address and basically shows you their intent, if you will, on wanting to buy from you, right? Now that funnel should lead over to your website, and that website is going to have a place where they can call you, and then that's where you close the deal. Okay, so last page. Who should you contact for help? So Small Business Administration, the Small Business Development Centers. There is the SCORE, which is the Service Corps of Retired Executives. And then there's the OVBD, which is the Office of Veterans Business Development. And then you've got the Boots to Business program for active duty military that are transitioning out. Okay, every single one of these links is going to be categorized just like this and linked in the bottom of this video. And what you need to do is you need to find out where these offices are in your local area. Don't be afraid. Just get it done. Set up that initial meeting and then start living your life. Appreciate your guys' time. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.